بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علمك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Another very important quality is humbleness. Again, this is something that people of dunya and people of akhirah both love. Everyone loves to deal with the people who are humble. I don't think anyone loves to deal with the people who are arrogant. So it can bring success in dunya, success in akhirah. The late Sheikh rahmatullah alayh has one chapter dedicated to tawadu. In volume 2, page 121, this chapter starts, Babu Tawadu. And there are several hadiths here. The first hadith is a story about Najashi, the king of Ethiopia. I don't mention the whole story, it's long. But at the end, there is a hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Rasulullah said, "Inna sadaqa tazidu sahibaha kathra." When you give sadaqah, it causes your money to increase. Fatasaddaqu yarhamkumullah. The Prophet said, give sadaqah, may Allah's mercy be upon you. وَإِنَّ التَّوَاضُعَ يَزِيدُ صَاحِبَهُ رِفْعَةً. So, when you give money, you will have more. When you try to be humble, don't think your honor will go away, your dignity will go away. No. إِنَّ التَّوَاضُعَ يَزِيدُ صَاحِبَهُ رِفْعَةً. It will increase your position. It will elevate you. فَتَوَاضَعُوا يَرْفَعْكُمُ اللَّهُ. So try to be humble. Allah will elevate you. Everyone wants to be elevated. Yeah? But unfortunately, some people think that by doing arrogant things, they can be humble. For example, there are people who are very strict. He said, you should call me with this name, this title. You should call me Ayatollah. You should, call me professor. You should call me this. This is the place that I sit. When I come, everyone should stand up. So all these, things, they think in this way they become important. But this is not the way. If you are humble, Allah would raise you. Do you want to raise yourself, or you want Allah to raise you? If you want Allah to raise you, you should try to be humble. Of course, inshallah, I will explain later that for you, indeed, it shouldn't be important whether you are raised among people or not. The main thing to be raised in the eye of Allah. But even if you want to be raised among people, still the way is to be humble. تَوَاضَعُوا يَرْفَعْكُمُ اللَّهُ. If you are humble, Allah will elevate you. وَإِنَّ الْعَفْوَ يَزِيدُ صَاحِبَهُ عِزًّا. Inshallah, one of the things we will talk about it later is to pardon. It is part of Islamic ethics. You have to forgive people. If you forgive people, your honor will increase. فَعْفُوا يُعِزَّكُمُ اللَّهُ. Pardon, Allah will give you more honor, more dignity. There is a hadith, the second hadith in this chapter is from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, إِنَّ فِي السَّمَاءِ مَلَكَيْنِ مُوَكَّلَيْنِ بِالْعِبَادِ. Allah has many angels, and each angel has different responsibility. There are two angels who are responsible for seeing who is humble and who is arrogant. إن في السماء ملكين موكلين بالعباد فمن تواضع لله رفعاه ومن تكبر وضعاه. These two angels, Maybe 2 angels for every person, maybe 2 angels for every all human being. We don't understand. He said there are 2 angels, perhaps 2 for all humanity, I don't know. When someone is humble, they raise him. When someone is arrogant, they put him down. Man tawadha'a lillah. Sometimes people, do tawazu, but not for the sake of Allah. They do tawazu to show off. Politicians sometimes, they try to say we are very humble. They shake hands with people. They go to for example, places who are poor. But sometimes it's just to show off. Man tawadha'a lillah. The one who is humble for the sake of Allah, those angels will elevate him. We have many hadiths saying that you will be elevated if you are humble. Imam Baqir alayhi salam said that an angel went to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and said, Inna Allah azza wa jal yukhayyiruka. Allah is giving you a choice. You can choose. أن تكون عبدا رسولا متواضعا. You can be a servant of Allah, a messenger, a humble person, or malikan rasulan. Or you can be a messenger who is also a king. You can be like Sulaiman, who has kingdom, money, palace, all these things. You can be a very humble, servant of God. What type of personalities or position do you like? The Prophet looked at Jibreel. نظر إلى جبرائيل وأومأ بيده أن تواضع. Jibreel said, choose to be humble, not to be a king. فقال عبدا متواضعا رسولا. So Allah said, I prefer to be a servant of Allah, a messenger who is humble. And then the hadith says the Prophet was able to choose to be a king prophet without losing anything. لا ينقصك مما عند ربك شيئا. So this was a complete choice. It was not changing his position with Allah. Okay? He was not being affected by that, but still he preferred to be a humble person without, kingdom. Very simple. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, this hadith helps to understand better what are the requirements of tawadu in different scenarios. من التواضع أن ترضى بالمجلس دون المجلس. One aspect of humbleness is to be pleased to sit wherever there is a space. Don't say I have to sit in a special place. There are people who always want to sit, for example, in top of the majlis. No, wherever there is a space, you should sit. Of course, when people see a scholar comes or an elder person comes, they should offer a good space to them. But as far as the person himself is concerned, he shouldn't mind to sit. These are two separate things. We as a community should show respect to elders, to scholars, to people who have, position. We should show respect. But they shouldn't expect this. You know the beautiful story of Allama Hilli. Allama Hilli, rahmatullah alayhi, has a long story. I make it short. In the time of Sultan Muhammad Khudaband Uljaito, he was a Mongol king who had become Muslim, so he chose the name of Muhammad Khudaband. Khudaband means servant of God, which Bande Khuda, so he said Khudaband. So the king had divorced his wife 3 times in the same session, same majlis. because he was very angry with his wife. So he divorced her 3 times. And then when the anger was over, he regretted. But everyone said there is no way to marry her again unless she marries another person. You know, there's need for muhallil, they call muhallil. If someone divorces his wife 3 times, means then cannot marry her again unless she marries another person, and then if she is divorced, then yes, so it's a muhallil. Pardon?
It was the starting of the Shias in Iran.
Yes, yes, yes. Not Safar, before that. This is about 2 centuries before Safar. So, this is a kind of punishment for people not to, divorce, quickly. So, the king was not able to see his wife being married to someone and then divorced. So he asked all the muftis and all the jurists from different mazahib, and they all said there is no way. This divorce was valid 3 times, so there is no way. So they told him, we cannot, give you any permission to marry her. He said, is there any scholar in the whole Islamic world who differs in his opinion? He said, no. And they said, yes, there is someone who is not important. In Hell, there is a person who has strange ideas. He's Rafizi, and he has strange ideas. He said, I want to see him. So they called him to come to the court of the king, and unfortunately, the way they arranged, the people who were not happy with Allama Haldi, was they filled all the space so that he has to sit next to the shoes. The only space which was left was next to the king, and no one, dares to sit next to the king. So, when Allama Haldi entered, he said salam, he didn't bend, and he went and sat next to the king. And they started, whispering and saying, how impolite he is, he has. So they said to the king, look, this man, he is not polite, he's not humble, he's very arrogant. And also he has taken his shoes with him, sitting next to the king with the shoes. So the king said, let's ask him for explanation. It's very important you always give people chance to defend themselves. Never judge about people before giving them chance to explain. So they say, why you didn't, bend, why you sat next to the king, why you took your shoes, all these are signs of, impoliteness and arrogance. He said, in Islam, the best greeting is salam. Even Rasulullah, when he was greeted with salam. Rasulullah never expected people to bend in front of him. Why we should bend in front of anyone? So I did the greeting, which is the greeting of Islam. And I sat next to the king because there was no other space. When you come to a majlis, you should sit wherever there is a space. And then he said, with respect to my shoes, I took my shoes because he mentioned some names, I don't mention the names. So he said, because I heard that so and so, who was the leader of one group, had stolen the shoes of the Prophet. So I was worried that his followers may steal my shoes. And they said, no, this is not correct. So and so never saw Prophet. He lived some generations after the Prophet. So how can... So, okay, sorry, I made a mistake. So it was the other person. So he mentioned the leader of another group. And they said, no, even he was after the first one. So he mentioned all the leaders of them. And after they all said that our leaders never saw Prophet, never met the Prophet, said, okay, so I follow the one who was brought up by the Prophet. So the whole point was to get this acknowledgement from them. And then the king asked about the divorce, and he said, your divorce was void. because there were no two witnesses. There must be two just witnesses. So your divorce is void and you are still married to your wife. Very simple. So the king very much liked this logic and he then became Shia. So this issue of where to sit sometimes can make a big change. So the whole system was changed at that time. But when the king became Shia, there were resistance, many types of resistance from his commanders, his governors, from all over Iran. So he eased down the pressure on the Shia, but it took 2 centuries till the Safavids came to power. But at least there was some ease of pressure. So one aspect of tawazu is an tarda bil majlis dun al majlis. You are happy to sit wherever there is a space. وَأَن تُسَلِّمَ عَلَى مَنْ تَلْقَى. You say salam to everyone that you meet. Don't say, they should say salam to me. I am older, or I am a scholar, or I am, I don't know, rich, or I am, I don't know, president, or I don't know, treasurer. No. Everyone you meet, you should say salam. Rasulullah was always saying salam to people before they say salam. I told you once this story that a young person wanted to surprise Rasulullah. So he went hiding behind a wall, and when Rasulullah was near, he jumped out to say salam before Rasulullah said salam to him. But when he jumped out, he was not able to speak. So Rasulullah said salamun alaykum, then he felt peace, and then he said alaykum salam. So to this extent, Rasulullah was always saying salam first, that people had to do some tricks to say salam before. So it's very important to say salam first. 69 hasana for the one who says salam, and 1 hasana for the one who replies. Indeed, when you reply, it's wajib. Yeah? Saying salam is mustahab, but reply wajib. So you are doing obligation. But the one who initiates salam is very important. Unfortunately, in some places, we have also some improper ways of doing salam or replying. For example, some places, when you say salam, instead of saying wa alaykum salam, they say salam is from me. It means that I should say salam to you. Okay, whether you had to say salam first or not, now you should reply. So you have to give proper reply. وَأَن تَتْرُكَ الْمِرَاءَ وَإِن كُنْتَ مُحِقًّا. One sign of humbleness is that you don't debate too much, even if you are right. Mira means to argue. To argue for the sake of arguing. This is very harmful, very destructive. Whenever you disagree with someone, for example, you disagree with your husband, with your wife, your children, I don't know, your neighbor, anyone. Don't, discuss 1 hour, 2 hours. 2, 3 times. You make your point, listen to the person, then you answer 2 times or 3 times. If you cannot solve the problem, stop it. Maybe another time you can again try. But when you keep, arguing and debating, then unfortunately, yes, shaitan gets involved, and no longer you would be committed to finding the truth. You just want to prove yourself. Therefore, we have many hadiths. This is one hadith, that we have many hadiths that we should stop arguing even if you are sure that you are right. رحم الله امرأ ترك المراء وَإِنْ كَانَ أو وَلَوْ كَانَ مُحِقًّا. Even if you are right, you should stop. So if you are a humble person, you don't need to prove to people that you were right. You make your point and say, this is my humble opinion. You argue for it once, twice, whether they accept it or not, you leave it. This is better. And the last one, which is difficult, I think maybe this is more difficult than all of them. أَنْ لَا تُحِبَّ أَنْ تُحْمَدَ عَلَى التَّقْوَى. You don't like to be praised by people about your piety. You don't expect people to thank you, to say, MashaAllah, you are good. What is the responsibility of people is another thing. People, for encouraging people, should thank them, should praise them. Okay? But those who are praised should not expect this. Okay? So, if I am doing something for the community, for example, I shouldn't expect people, praising me. I do it for the sake of Allah. But at the same time, people should praise the people who have done something good, so that other people would be encouraged. So there are two different things. One is the responsibility of the person. He should do it for the sake of Allah. لا نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكورا. We don't want any payment from you. We don't want anything as thankfulness from you. But what about the people? They had to be thankful. Okay? One of the ulama was saying that when we give lectures, we don't expect people to pay money. But then people have their own responsibility. They should know how to thank. So these two different things. But it's very difficult to reach the point that you don't want to be thanked, you don't want to be given anything, you don't want to be given any credit, just for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The main thing is humbleness. Because if you are not humble, this is my explanation. If you are not humble, you always see great value in yourself and your work. Okay? I have done this, so people should very much thank me. Allah should reward me a lot. If you are humble, you don't see any value in your work. This example is very moving about Allama Tabatabai. When Allama Tabatabai was writing Al-Mizan, it took many years. It's not easy to write 20 volumes. And it's still perhaps the best tafsir we have. At least the best complete tafsir that we have. So, once he received a message from his brother, who was living in another town, and his brother was also an alim. They used to study in Najaf together, but then they separated because he had to be in another town. So he received a message from his brother that our father, because his brother was very special, he had encounter with the spirits of the dead people. So he said, I had a conversation with our father. He did maybe dream or when he was awake. Anyway, that's not the main thing. He said, I had a conversation with our father, and he said, I am not happy with Muhammad Hussein because he has not made me share the reward of writing Al-Mizan. He didn't say, I give this reward to my parents. When Allama Tabatabai received this message from his brother, he was surprised. Because first of all, no one knew what was his intention. Whether he has made them share for them or not. And then he said something very important. This is the point that I wanted to mention. He said, I didn't think of making my father share with my reward because I didn't think my work has any reward. He has written the best tafsir of Quran after 14 centuries. It's the best tafsir But he didn't think that he's doing something important. Then he made in his niyyah that his father would have shared. His brother sent him another message after some time that our father is now happy with you. So, if you are humble and you see no value in your work and yourself, then you don't like to be praised. So the key is this. Because if you think your work is important, you want to be praised for that. But if you say, no, it's not significant. So, when the Grand Ayatollah Burujerdi Rahmatullah Alayhi was dying, this is related to humbleness and also to sincerity, which we will discuss inshallah later. When he was going to die, many ulama were there, because among his students there were tens of mujtahids, tens of ayatollahs, many people who themselves became marja. They were his students. Actually they were in the position of marja'iyah, but because to respect him, they were not introducing themselves as marja. So many ulama were there, and they saw Ayatollah is very worried, concerned. So they started telling the services that he has rendered to the Shia community. He said, you have trained hundreds of people, you have written many books, many projects. Masjid Azam next to the shrine of Lady Ma'suma was built by him. Imam Ali Mosque in Hamburg, many schools, many things. But this alim was not thinking that he has done anything. And he said, خلص العمل or أخلص العمل فإن الناقد بصير بصير. He said, we have to be very careful about purity of intention. It's not important what we have done. The one who is going to examine our actions is very able to see all the problems. Naqid in Arabic is used for the person who was examining the coins. In the past they had silver coin, golden coin, but there were also fake coins. And sometimes ordinary people were not able to understand whether this is fake or not. So there were people who were called naqid. Naqd means to examine the coins to see whether it's true or fake. So Allah is examining our actions to see whether they are coin which are true or they are coin which are fake. People look at my actions and say, MashaAllah, what a good action. But Allah said, no, this is fake. It's not sincere. So, a person like Grand Ayatollah Burujerdi, he doesn't see any significance in what he has done. He says, I don't know, I had good intention, I don't know whether Allah has accepted my action. Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he was raising the foundations of Kaaba, what did he say? وَإِذْ يَرْفَعُ إِبْرَاهِيمُ الْقَوَاعِدَ مِنَ الْبَيْتِ وَإِسْمَاعِيلُ. One of their dua was, رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا. Please accept this from us. What does it mean? It means that we don't know whether this is something that would be pleasing you. This is something that in our view might be rejected. Please accept this. But sometimes we do a little thing and say, definitely this is accepted, definitely this is important, everyone should remember what I have done. So this is a matter of humbleness. There is a beautiful hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam about Prophet Musa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala once told Musa alayhi salam, Ya Musa, atadri lemastafaytuka bikalami duna khalqi. Oh Musa, do you know why I chose you to speak, not other people? Musa said, Ya Rabbi wa limadhak. My Lord, why? Why did you choose me? He didn't say, yes, I know, because I was a very good person. He said, no, I don't know why. It means that I didn't see anything special in me. Why you chose me? فأوحى الله تبارك وتعالى إليه أن يا موسى إني قلبت عبادي ظهرا لبطن. Musa, I examine carefully from every aspect my servants. فلم أجد فيهم أحدا أضل لي نفسا منك. I didn't find anyone more humble before me than you. You were the most humble person. إنك إذا صليت وضعت خدك على التراب أو قال على الأرض. One aspect of this was, whenever you were praying, you were putting your cheek on the soil. This is maximum humbleness. And this is why we put our forehead on the turba as a sign of humbleness. You know the story that once, there's a hadith story which says that once Allah told Musa, the next time you come for miqat, bring someone who is worse than you with you, lower than you in rank. So Musa alayhi salam was trying to find someone, because Allah has asked him to bring someone lower than him. But he was not able to find anyone who is lower than him. Even with respect to the sinful people, he said, who knows, maybe in the end they would be better than me. Then he saw a dog which was ill and has some disease, and said, maybe I can say this dog is lower than me. But then he said, no, I cannot even say this dog is lower than me. So he went to Allah and said, I didn't find anyone who is lower than me. And Allah said, if you had brought that dog, you would have lost your position. That was a test. To be a prophet and don't find anyone lower than you. It's very difficult. Unfortunately, sometimes, when we look at people, we judge and, we say, these are not good people, but Allah knows. Once Imam Sadiq alayhi salam saw a person in Medina that he has purchased something for his family and is carrying himself. Apparently in that time was not good to carry something yourself. Either you should have your servants, or I don't know, put it on donkey or horse. So when this person saw Imam and he was carrying things, istahya meant, he was embarrassed. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, اشتريته لعيالك وحملته إليهم. Why you are embarrassed? You have purchased this for your family and you are carrying this to your family. And Imam said, by Allah, I love to do the same thing. If people of Medina were not, taking this as odd, I love to also do it. Although I am Imam, but I have no problem in carrying good, buy potato and onion and carry with me. So Imam is, happy to do this. Some of great ulama in Qom, you see sometimes they carry, basket and, they buy fruit, onion, they stand in queue for, nana sangak, and they go home. So this is humbleness. The last hadith is from Imam Raza alayhi salam. There are many hadiths, but I only chose these ones. If you want, there are more hadiths, you can find them. Imam Raza alayhi salam said, التواضع أن تعطي الناس ما تحب أن تعطى. Humbleness is to give people what you love to be given. Treat people in the way that you want to be treated. Don't think you are special. Don't say, people should treat me special. For example, you expect people to raise in front of you and stand up, but you yourself don't do this for people. This is not. you know, some weeks back, I met someone, and I was surprised. You know, when you meet someone, so for example, if there is some distance, so from Islamic point of view, akhlaq point of view, you should go towards each other. Yeah? So if it is 10 meters, I should go 5 meters, and that person should come 5 meters. But I saw that person, you know, was sitting, didn't stand up, didn't come towards me, and I went all the way to him. I had no problem, but I felt sorry for him, because this is not good akhlaq. Yeah? So if you are coming towards me, I should come also towards you. If I sit here and say he comes, you know, and then it's not good. So you want to treat people in the way that you are treated. The hadith has an ending here, number 12. Allah Majlisi didn't put number 13, so it's a sorry, number 14. It's a hadith 13. Then at the end he says, وَفِي حَدِيثٍ آخر, in another hadith, when person asks about the limit or the definition of tawadhu, Imam alayhi salam said, one is أن يعرف المرء قدر نفسه فينزلها منزلتها بقلب سليم. You know your limit. Don't expect to be treated more than what you are. I'm a student, I should know I'm a student. I don't know, junior alim, I should know that I'm a junior alim. I should not, you know, expect people, even I should not let people, you know, to mention me or call me or treat me as a person in a higher position. This is about humbleness. I have a paper, in addition to the paper which you will receive, that I haven't sent, but it is published. If I get a chance, I may send also that paper. It's about poverty. At the moment, what we discussed about tawadhu is to try to be humble. But there is a level of tawadhu which is poverty, which is faqr, or which is feeling nothingness. You know, sometimes you think you are something, but in order to be humble, you try to control yourself. Okay? So I try to sit everywhere that people, you know, are sitting. I try, you know, to treat people in the way that I like them to treat me. So, in a sense, I am pressurizing myself to be humble. You know, I don't know if you are familiar with the concept of takalluf. Takalluf has two meanings. One is takalluf with respect to the guests and, you know, people who visit you.
Formality.
Yeah. So you try to undertake something which is not easy for you. You go out of your way. But takalluf has another meaning in Arabic. Means you do something by force. For example, you are not generous, but you push yourself to be generous. Okay? You are not brave. For example, when the house is empty in the night, you feel, you know, very bad, you know, you are fearful. But you force yourself to be brave. Okay, this is good, that you force yourself to be brave. You force yourself to be generous. Tawazu means you force yourself to be humble. But you should reach the level that you don't need to force yourself. There is no takalluf. You really feel you are not anything. You know, sometimes I think I am alim, I'm important, I'm very special, I'm talented, and still I try to be humble. But sometimes I see I am nothing. So tawadhu sometimes is in the sense of trying to push yourself to be humble, but a higher level of tawadhu is to feel you are nothing. You know, in Dua Abu Hamza, we say to Allah, وَمَا أَنَا وَمَا خَطَرِي. What am I? Ma ana. We don't say man ana. We don't say who am I. We say what am I? Wa ma khatari. What is my significance? What is my value? If we have any value, it's coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, the best type of tawazu is the tawazu of the people who don't need to push themselves. Tawazu of the people who are really humble, in the sense that they have achieved poverty. So in that paper, which I first presented in dialogue we had with the Mennonites, I think was the third round of Mennonite Shia dialogue in Waterloo, Kitchener in Canada, I presented this paper about poverty, faqr. And I said, we have 4 types of faqr. If you read Islamic, texts, you find 4 types of faqr. 2 of them are good, 2 of them are bad. Sometimes faqr is used in the sense of financial poverty. A person is not able to generate wealth, to make income. This type of faqr is bad. Islam is against unemployment or against people being lazy and not working. Yeah? We should combat poverty in this sense. Rasulullah said, "Qad al-faqru an yakuna kufra." Poverty in this sense can lead to kufr. Another meaning of faqr is that you are able to make money, but you yourself decide to have very simple life of poor people, or a little bit more than poor people. This is good. You are making money, but it's not because you make money you change your lifestyle. I like very much some people in our community that they are very rich, but when you see them and you look at their dress or their car, you don't realize that they are very rich. Or when they eat, you feel they are very normal. They can have lots of money, no problem. But they have not decided to have, a kind of, royal, life. So this type of voluntary poverty is good. Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, in those 25 years after the Prophet, that he had to, do sab, to be patient, he was not just doing ibadah. He was doing lots of work. One of the major works of Amir al-Mu'minin was to dig wells, to make gardens, to plant trees. Sometimes he was doing this for people, he was hired, he was working for people. Sometimes he was doing himself. So he was making lots of money, but he was not keeping money for himself. When he was making garden and garden was ready, then he was making waqf. He was, giving this as endowment. He was giving to the poor people. So it's very good to generate money. So faqr in the first sense that you are not able to make money is not good. But it's good that you decide yourself to have simple life. Of course, simple life in every age can be different. Simple life for people can also be different. Maybe the same age, the same era, but depending on your age, depending on your job, can be different. I'm not saying everyone should, live the same. I accept that this is something that can be different, but anyway, you try to be simple. The third type of faqr is faqr on the day of judgment. To be poor on the day of judgment. Once Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked his companions, Do you know who is muflis? Muflis means bankrupt. In Arabic, muflis means bankrupt. The people said, muflis is the one who has no money, no property. Rasulullah said, no. This is very simple. I mean by muflis, the one who comes on the day of judgment. While he has prayed, he has fasted, he has done good actions. But because he has backbited people and he has wronged people, all the hasanah has gone to them and he is poor. He has nothing. So this is the bad type of faqr again. Faqr in this sense is bad. On the day of judgment, we shouldn't be poor in this way. We shouldn't be, empty-handed in this way. The fourth meaning of faqr is faqr in the sense of a spiritual poverty. Real humbleness. To be a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is good. This type of faqr is very good. So, we have four meanings for faqr. Two of them are good, two of them are bad. Faqr in the sense of not being able to generate income and wealth is bad. Faqr in the sense of choosing voluntarily to have simple life is good. Faqr on the day of judgment in the sense of lacking hasanat is bad. Faqr in the sense of humbleness, a spiritual poverty, feeling nothing is good. Okay? So, you have to be careful. When we read du'as of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, because in the dua they speak with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and therefore they may say things to Allah that they don't say to people in normal conversation. So when they want to express their faqr, their poverty, they express it in du'as, munajat. Imam Hussein alayhi salam in Du'a Arafah, he has many important things. For example, in one piece of Du'a Arafah, Imam says, what can I bring when I want to come to you? Can I come with my ears, my eyes, my tongue, my hands, my feet? Isn't this the case that all of these are your blessings that you have given me? So I don't have anything. Or for example, he said, oh my Lord, I am poor in my richness. So how can I not be poor in my poverty? This is very important. أنا فقير في غناي فكيف لا أكون دعاء عرفة. أنا فقير في غناي فكيف لا أكون فقيرا في فقري. My hand that I have, my eye that I have, okay, are not mine. So I am poor here. I'm needy. So what about those things that I don't have? If I have money, it doesn't make me rich, because this money is a loan, is a trust, is amana. So those that I don't have cannot be listed. And those that I have also are not my property. Okay? So with respect to those that I have, I am poor. So what about those things that I don't have? Imagine, if, for example, if bank has $1 billion, okay? This bank has $1 billion, and they have given you a loan of, say, $1 million. How much you don't have? $999 million you don't have. But even that 1 million that you have, it's not yours. It's a loan. So those 999, you absolutely are poor with respect to them. And even this one that it's in your possession, it's not really yours, because a loan you have to give back. Okay? So whatever Allah has given us is a trust, it's for Him. And what He hasn't given us, of course, definitely is something that we lack. So Imam Hussein says, أنا فقير في غناي فكيف لا أكون فقيرا في فقر. أنا الجاهل في علمي فكيف لا أكون جهولا في جهلي. With respect to those things that I know, still I am ignorant. Why? Because this knowledge, first of all, is very limited. There is nothing in this world that you can say you fully know. You fully understand. Even we don't know ourselves. Even we don't know our children. We don't know fully our children. We don't know fully anything. Okay? So our knowledge is limited. Also, this knowledge is not something that we own. After one accident, it can go away. There are people who even don't remember the name of their children. There are people who don't know whether this person is their husband or their son. You know, I have seen some old lady, they suffer from Alzheimer. When he sees his son, her son, she thinks it's her husband. So, our knowledge is not our knowledge. If it was my knowledge, my property, it should be always in my control. But it can be taken away easily. So what about then those things that I don't know? أنا الجاهل في علمي فكيف لا أكون جهولا في جهلي. Jahul means very ignorant. So Imam Hussein alayhi salam in this dua very much highlights the concept of poverty. Or for example, it says, Allahumma inni atawassalu ilayka bifaqri. You know, you do tawassul. Tawassul is not only to call upon Allah, you know, because of Prophet or Ahlul Bayt. Tawassul can be with different things. For example, when you do good actions, these are wasila, they can help. Okay? Imam Hussein alayhi salam says, my wasila, one of the wasail, but the wasila that he is mentioning here is faqr. Atawassalu ilayka bifaqri. Okay? You know, sometimes I go to a rich person and I want to take a wasila so that the rich person, you know, pays attention to me. For example, I take a very respected person with me. Because of this person, you know, please give me money. Okay, this is one way. Sometimes I take a little gift. Okay? So, you know, this is, for example, the cake I have made at home. You know, I take it, and then say no. So this is when we do tawassul with our actions. So sometimes we do tawassul by taking a noble person, sometimes, you know, we do our action. But I think one of the very strong way of tawassul is to say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I didn't find anything to bring. I am absolutely poor. Atawassalu ilayka bifaqri. I am not against those other, they are all good. I'm saying this is one way of tawassul. This is the way that Imam Hussein is mentioning here. They are all good, alhamdulillah. But I'm saying that this is one condition. Because even I cannot say, I have Imam Ali or Lady Fatima doing shafa for me. Who am I? Who has guaranteed that they can, you know, they accept to do shafa for me? Huh? We don't know. So, one way is also to say to Allah that I am poor. I have nothing. Can you send back someone who has nothing? Atawassalu ilayka bifaqri. And then Imam Hussein says, but there is a problem here. There's a paradox. وَكَيْفَ أَتَوَسَّلُ إِلَيْكَ بِمَا هُوَ مُحَالٌ أَنْ يَتَّصِلَ إِلَيْكَ. But how can I do tawassul to something that would never come to you?
Come again?
Never come to you, never reach you. What does it mean? It has two interpretations. I want to take something to Allah, but the problem is that that thing never reaches Allah, because faqr has no way to reach Allah. Okay? It's like, for example, you want to take ice to a king who is surrounded by heaters, for example. So you cannot take the ice to the king. Or you can want to take, for example, ice cream in a very hot day. By the time you reach there, it's melts. So you cannot take it there. Allah is the one that you cannot take poverty to Him, because He's not poor. This is one interpretation. The second interpretation is that the people who are close to Allah are the richest people. So I move towards Allah with poverty, but before I reach Allah, I become rich. Okay? Who are the richest people in the world? The people who are muqarramun, they are close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, this is a kind of beautiful way of saying that poverty has no way to reach Allah and the people who are close to Him. So, you start with poverty, but you end with becoming the richest people. Okay? In other words, those who are really poor, they feel poor, they feel that their hand is empty. These people are the people that have greatest achievement. And those who think they have something, they are the people who have nothing. Okay? So everyone who is more humble, now you understand this in a better way. Everyone who is humble, indeed, he is raised, he is rich. Everyone who feels he is rich and he is important and special, he is nothing. Hafiz, the famous Iranian poet, has a beautiful poem, and it's translated in this way. Maybe a small couplet. O God, grant me the riches of poverty, for in such largest lies my power and glory. In poverty my power and glory lie. So humbleness in this sense is very important. If we try to understand how poor we are, how needy we are, then we become humble without any difficulty, without being in need of pushing ourselves or pressurizing ourselves. Yes? It's a point from Hafiz. Okay, we stop here, and inshallah after a short break we will continue with another quality. Alhamdulillah.